So we take a quick peek at the function y equals negative cosine of x. And I want to point out that basically it's going to be just like this pig function, but I'm sticking a negative in front of it. You might have some thoughts about how this works based on other things you've done in the past. For example, in the past, you have learned that if a function is y equals x squared, and that looks like this, then slapping a negative in front of that function makes that graph go the other way. You might have learned that it flips the graph over. I'm going to change that thought a little bit, I think, maybe, and say when you put a negative in front of the function, what happens is whatever sign the y value would have had, it's now going to have the opposite sign. So if it was positive, it'll now be negative. If it was negative, it'll now be positive. So typically, if I'm trying to graph a negative cosine function, I have to first have a pretty good picture in my head of what the cosine function looks like. I know that's the one that cos up 1. And I know that I'm marking on my axis these quadrantial angles. So I'm going from 0 to 2 pi, and I'm cutting that in half, and I'm cutting those halves in half, so I get these quadrants. And normally, cosine would co up 1, but this is negative, so it's going to go down 1. It's going to start down here at negative 1. And then I'll follow the same pattern. It's going to go up to 0. And then what was negative 1 will now be positive 1. So it's going to go from negative 1 to 0 to positive 1, back down, and then back down here. And then from negative 1 up to 0. This would have been a negative 1, but we're flipping it. So it's up here at positive 1, back down to 0, back here at negative 1. That's not to scale. And then I'm just going to connect these dots. I'm going to make this concave up, concave down, pretend I hit that point, concave up, ding. Same thing on this side and this side. And you will notice that this red graph is in fact the reflection of the pink graph over the line y equals 0, over the x-axis. So the negative sign does exactly what it did in the past. It takes all of your y values and changes their sign and flips the function like this. What was up is now down. What's down is now up. Am I over-explaining this? I'm not sure. We'll find out. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I hope that makes sense.